All right, everyone. Well, we've got about a little over half an hour to the opening bell. So today is day one, day trading in Puerto Rico. Internet seems pretty good, and I'm watching the gap scanners and looking for some opportunities. Haven't taken any trades yet, and it's 10 of 9. So usually I would have already broken the ice with a couple of trades. AKRO is our leading gapper. It's up 150% right now. It's got a high here of $32 a share. It's a little extended though. You've got 6 green candles in a row. And there's two things about it that are throwing me off a little bit. The price action feels a little bit more like a grinding stock. So grinding stocks will pop up and then they'll pull back, and then they'll pop up and they'll pull back. They'll pop up and they pull back. And they're not always as clean. You get these moves here, like you can see the top of this candle wick pops up but then drops back down. You can see it in the candlesticks. It pops up and then it drops back down. It pops up and then it drops back down. So one of the causes of that can be a stock that has a higher float and a stock that's easy to borrow. This one has both. It's easy to borrow and has a higher float. So you're going to see a little bit more chop on it. And so for that reason, I've been hesitant to break the ice with my first trade. And meanwhile, it's been grinding higher. And this can be a challenge with these, as they keep going and you're like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just get in. But then by the time you're breaking in and giving in, your capitulation to the long side. So I don't want to capitulate to the long side and buy the top. So I'm just leaving it alone for right now. Interestingly, like the spread right now, 30 by 48. 26 by 44, some ADFN orders going through, 28 by 48. So you're seeing a fairly big spread, some orders going through that are delayed prints. This happens all the time, but it makes it a little harder to read the tape when you have that happening. 9 million shares of total volume, but I don't know. So we'll keep that on watch. The overall market right now is pulling back. CPI came in at 8.3 versus 8.1 expectation. The market was very sad to see that. It means inflation has gone up a little bit, right? That's not in line with what the Federal Reserve wants to see. And so they're going to, as we know, they won't stop till the job's done. That's what they keep saying. So they're going to keep increasing interest rates and push the economy into a recession or even push it into a depression just to bring down inflation rates. Now, the problem with the inflation rate is that there's a limited quantity of supply. There's obviously a labor shortage. So prices are high because demand is high, because unemployment is very low. People are making money. So, I don't know. You've got a couple options. You either get people that are in retirement to go back to work already and do it for America, or you get kids to start working. Come on, kids, get a job. I started working when I was young. You should too. Or you push the country into a recession where demand decreases. So you guys are going to lose some jobs. All right, some people are going to get fired. They're going to get laid off. Or the Fed, comes out and tells everyone to have 4 or 5 kids, and the only way we're going to get on top of this inflation is if we make a bunch more people, and we make them start working really soon, like maybe at 4 or 5 years old. And my kid, who's 4, he can do a lot. He's very handy. So I'm thinking about sending him to work, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like he needs to kind of pay his way. But then he'd be making money. And of course, then he'd be spending it, Paw Patrol and this and that. So, well, I don't know. I'm not even sure if that's going to solve it entirely. But it sure is worth a shot, because they're not going to stop till the job's done. So while they try to figure out what the heck they're doing, the overall market's a little nervous because the thesis that what they're doing is working is suddenly called into question here. We had one good month of lower inflation, or maybe it was 2, whatever, but now it's going back up. So that calls into question whether or not what they're doing is going to work long term, and that uncertainty causes that drop in the market. So that's the overall market. Um, okay, well, that has an influence on small caps, but a lot of small caps can buck the trend of the overall market, especially if they have good news. And so that's, obviously AKRO doesn't really care about that. So AKRO, just watching the price action on it. And by the way, for those tuning in on YouTube, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up for the morning show. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results are not typical. There's no guarantee that you'll find success, so take it slow. The traders at Day Trade Dash and Warrior Trading, they have an ultra low latency broadcast of my feed here. It's going to be a little faster than the broadcast that goes out to YouTube. So be aware that there's a little delay on the YouTube channel. If you would like to join Day Trade Dash, you can go over to daytradedash.com and you're welcome to join. Today's the last day of the 30% off Labor Day coupon code for Day Trade Dash. Over at Warrior Trading, we've got a 40% coupon code, and that's it's still active today. It'll be active for, I think, a couple more days. So those of you guys that want to join the classes, you're welcome to do that. Okay, so with that said, we're coming up to the top of the hour here at 9 a.m. And I'm just kind of watching to see if we have any fresh news. INM from yesterday, that was the momentum stock. Made $10,000 on it, twice the daily goal. We got a squeeze from 12 up to 20. That was solid. I stopped trading it early because I had to get on my flight, but nice move there. I guess you guys had NRBO. But low float, squeezed up a bit, had topping tail on the daily. We'll see if that opens up again today. I have on a side chart just in case. It did a reverse split. So one of the things that can be hard is breaking the ice with your first trade. You're kind of like, okay, when am I going to break the ice with the first trade here? AKRO could come down to 27.76, and that would be okay. That's sort of a bear flag, drop, sideways consolidation, bear flag for the next leg down, sort of looking like a head and shoulders pattern. Maybe we find support sort of around, well, actually that comes in right almost there. I feel like it could come down a little bit more, though. We'll see. So my gut on AKRO is that it's high risk. If you have that tolerance, you might be able to make a little on it, but it's a little tricky. And it's interesting because it's got a lot of volume today, but then it has these periods where the volume feels very light. So a fair amount of the volume has been generated by ADFN orders, which is institutional traders. So have to be a little aware of that. I'm not sure what's going on there, but something a little funny maybe. MACD is curling over, crossing over against the trade. So up 136% right now. ETNB, this one I wasn't totally sure about because it's easy to borrow. You got a little spike right there up to 46, as you can see. So, the question with these easy to borrow stocks is how well they'll hold. It's not a recent reverse split. It's not a recent IPO. So it doesn't have those sort of extra juice factors that we would prefer. So the risk is a little higher. Interesting price action on AKRO there, rallying back up. You'd want to see whether it could break back over 31, but I would expect some consolidation in this area. The low there, and then this high here between 30 and 31. And then that starts to create an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So we've got about 24 minutes to the opening bell. The leading gapper, AKRO, watching it maybe over 31. Second leader, ETNB, pops up there, but didn't hold. I mean, it's holding, but it didn't break through the $0.50. AREB, LTCH, SYRS. Yeah, just kind of looking at what we've got here. An RBO low down there is around 19. Risk is a little higher. It's in a wedge, but it's a descending wedge. So has the risk of a breakdown against this flat bottom. It's kind of being pushed lower. But, you know, it's still a wedge. And if it doesn't break to the downside and then starts to curl back up, 21, 22, and then 24 levels to watch, certainly. So this 5-minute candle's closing in about 30 seconds. Those of you guys who missed it on YouTube, uploaded the podcast from last week or the week before to YouTube yesterday. It's an interview with my 10th student to cross over $1 million in profit. I will have an interview with the 11th student to cross over $1 million in profit soon. Got to schedule that with him. Might do it in October. He's actually gonna come out and trade with me, which will be fun. So we'll probably do a little interview then. There he is. Hey, Hermong. Good morning. Dip trade for me down there on AKRO, buying that dip off of the $0.50, and now watching there's 60, taking 1,000 shares off the table, and let's see if it breaks over 70. Son of a gun, I'm in my main account. This is going to be a taxable gain, but I'm in Puerto Rico. It doesn't count, right? It does not count because I'm in Puerto Rico when I made the money. That is not taxable. I got you. I got you. You thought you were going to get me? No, no, no. Okay, so, but I really should switch to my retirement account. So there's $557 in the main account. I was watching off of this 30 level. Added back there, $30 on the bid. Look at that average. Cost basis is 30. There was a hidden buyer, and I'm going to look to add over 45. So I'm just going to start trying to get dialed in on this one. Added right there. There's the break of 50. Internet seems good. Order execution's good. Can we get the break over the $0.50? Another $400. Watching for another dip off of 30. So we've got a range here. I'm going to try to do, I want to see, I'm going to put an order at $30.05. I want to see two things. One, if it breaks 30 and I could buy a dip for the curl back up. So we're coming back down to 30 again, 30.11 on the bid. So I've got $900 so far there between the two accounts. One's my retirement, the other's my regular account. Regular account is nice because I have leverage in it and I can shorten it, but it's not nice because it is taxable. So right now we're in this consolidation. As you can see, I've already taken 2 bounces off of 30, but it needs to break through 30.78, but it also could break down. So I'm going to put an order on the bid to try to buy a dip on a break through 30. We've got about 15 minutes to the opening bell. That's funny, Frank. You want to be careful on this. I was going to try to buy on the bid to catch if it flushes down to buy the dip coming back up. I could buy the ask on it, and the ask is a little safer. But watching right here, so it didn't break. My order's at 29.90, and it didn't break 30. But it might. So canceling the order for a second. I'm going to watch to see what it does here. It feels like there's downward pressure on it against this 30 level. But then it seems like there's a maybe a hidden buyer. So starter there, added back. There's a hidden buyer on this. Now watching it add over 45. So I'm looking for the break flat for right now at that same spot. I don't want to catch a break of 30. Look at all that selling though. So the fact that it's selling like that, but it's not breaking, added back there at 30 right there. You've got a 10,000 share buyer. Now watch over 30.25. Added at 16. So there's obviously a big buyer on this. Someone's accumulating. Let's see if it goes back up to 30.50. It's just you get nervous because you know if that level breaks, it's going to flush. So gave back $250 on that trade. And the thing is, I keep thinking and this is like typical price action of a grinder. See, look at that drop. Bought the dip, 800 shares at 29.29. Added there at 29.50. Now looking for the curl back up to 30. So trying to buy this dip for the curl back up. Watch over 29.75 for the next add. So this is the kind of setup where I try to buy the dip for that curl back up. That was a 70-cent flush. So now watch as green on the tape comes back in for an add over 29.50 and a squeeze back to 29.75. Watching the dip here, adding at 29.33, trying to accumulate on this pullback, and I'm looking for the squeeze back up to 29.75, but I got to go flat on it. It's pulling back. We'll watch for another dip. So between the two accounts, down 50 bucks, down 600 there, up 557 there. We've got about 12 minutes to the opening bell. Not even a bounce. It's kind of strange because that's a 70-cent flush, not even a bounce. Usually we would see something of a bounce, but no bounce. So now you've got it coming back down to this level here, that previous low of 28.71. Got a couple trades on it, but ended up giving back that profit. So I think AKRO, I think the problem on it is that it's just, as you can tell, it's a risky name. The price action's not super clean. It's got some selling pressure here, the 5 minutes extended. You've got the double bottom here at 28.71, but you've got hidden sellers there. There's a buyer at 70. Bought 1,000 shares there at 70. We'll see if it pops back up to 29. Only starting with 1,000. You've got 28.64 on the bid. Flat break even on that. It's just not bouncing. No bounce. It's just going lower. Well, should probably switch to a different stock. This one's just not giving any clean action at this point. So red, what, $100, $90 on it? So that's our leading gapper. It's pulling back right now. ETNB. So I finally broke the ice on it, but wasn't able to finish green on it. ETNB, it's got a high of 747. That one's just too choppy. HYMC, 99 cents, a little too cheap. AREB, SYRS. CMRA. INM, I was watching that one earlier, but it's pulled back quite a bit. So with only 8 minutes to the opening bell, it just doesn't feel like there's it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of action here. Kind of a bummer, but there was a lot of buying at that $30 level on AKRO. Yeah, there was. But then it broke. So if it gets back over 30, that's interesting. So we'll see. We've got like 7 minutes to the opening bell, 6 minutes to the opening bell. This could end up being a small red day for me, and it would break my green streak, which is 40 consecutive days, and that would be fine. It just takes the pressure off, breaks the streak, and then I can not have that sort of add pressure. So a $50, $100 red day is no big deal. But it is still a little early, so let's just see whether or not we get some action at the opening bell. So I'm content with having it be a small red day. And, you know, at the same time, if something opens up and proves itself, then I'll trade it. And hopefully I don't lose more on it. But if I have a good trade on it and I finish green, then that's fine too. I'm probably not going to trade past 10 a.m. I don't want to overstay my welcome. So I'm on vacation. I want to enjoy it. But we'll see. Obviously, the best days are when we have a nice, clean gapper. We don't have that right now. Yeah, I'm not very trusting on ETNB for a long. It just feels like a grinder. Your high there is 70. So, unfortunately, we'll see. We'll see how it holds up. But the float's a little higher. These ones, it's easy to borrow. So you're going to have some more shorts on it. We'll see. Topping tail there, high of 73. Looks like NRBO dipped down there. Low of 1730. So my watch list is AKRO for the most part. Even though I'm red on it, I would still just watch it in case it curls back up. Let's see. ETNB side chart. Maybe. Being easy to borrow and the float being a little higher, I'm just a little cautious on it. But obviously these are the two leading gappers. So this is what we have to work with today. AKRO and ETNB. Neither are reverse splits, neither are super recent IPOs. So they don't have that extra juice factor for a big squeeze. Now, ETNB being, of course, cheaper, I think will generally be easier to manage risk on, but AKRO has more range. So that's the thing, you're sort of sacrificing range versus risk a little bit on this one. These two at least. But AKRO, this to me, I've tried several times to buy dips on it for bounces, and I just lost money. So I need to see it surging up. And if it's surging up, I'd look for entries around $0.50 and whole dollars. So I'd be watching 30, and I'd be watching 30.78 to break for a move back to the high a day. Those are the levels I would watch. ETNB, I would watch that if it breaks over the highs of 73. So that's the game plan here with about 90 seconds to the opening bell. So thank you those who have tuned in on YouTube for my first day trading in Puerto Rico. We'll be back at it first thing tomorrow for those on YouTube. May or may not do a recap today. I'm not really sure, but thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. A reminder as always, trading is risky, so make sure you take it slow. Today's the last day to use the 30% off coupon code for Day Trade Dash, which would give you my ultra low latency broadcast and my scans. And there's also a coupon code that you could use for Warrior if you want to be in the Warrior Starter or the Warrior Pro classes. All right, so thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow.